Drive by. Feathers on Soledad in Canyon Country, across from the Edwards Theater. Or go to feathersphoto.com. That's feathersphoto.com.
And now a cooking tip from Keith Mowry from Bob's Country Meats. Try cooking something exotic this weekend. How about barbecuing buffalo steaks?
Buffalo. We have buffalo patties, buffalo steaks. They're high in iron, low in fat. They come out for a real nice meal.
Buffalo and ostrich are just some of the great exotic meats you'll find at Bob's Country Meats. Chicken, tri-tip, pork chops, turkey, and steaks. For the tastiest meats in town, visit Bob's Country Meats on Soledad in Canyon Country.
Hey, Kyle, what are you doing Saturday, June 30th?
Not sure.
Nowhere bound, huh?
What?
Come on, Bubba Hyde. Get it together. You're a beautiful mess.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Diamond Rio songs. You're unbelievable.
Why, thank you, Kyle. I just want to let our listeners know that we'll be hosting the Big Diamond Rio Show with special guest Savannah Burrows at the PAC at COC.
Imagine that.
Look at you getting it now.
One more day.
No, dude, it's June 30th.
Be my wingman.
Oh, now you're quoting Savannah Burrows songs.
Yep.
Sweet.
Join Tori and me when we host Diamond Rio with special guest SCV's own Savannah Burrows. Saturday, June 30th, 7 p.m. at COC's PAC.
Tickets are on sale now. Go to canyonspac.com
or hometownstation.com.
Hey there, I'm Tori with your hometown station weather. Partly cloudy today, a high of 89. Clear overnight with a low of 63. More sun tomorrow with a high of 91. Don't miss out. Get your tickets to Diamond Rio at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center, College of the Canyons, Saturday, June 30th at 7 p.m. with special guest Savannah Burrows. Tickets are on sale now. Visit canyonspac.com. That's canyonspac.com.
Financial security will help you live the life you dream. Learn about financial power, the total financial hour. Now higher income strategy. Learn from Arif Halaby. Learn about financial power, the total financial hour.
All right, now we're on. Welcome to the show, the Total Financial Hour. Hey, I'm Arif Halaby. That's Jeff Gerard, listening to your family's place for news, talk, information. That's your hometown station, KHTS. Look, a lot of what we talk about is, can be technical, right? The financial world is a technical place. It's math and percentages, and it's a little bit confusing for a lot of folks who try to figure out, do I have enough money to retire? Where should I retire? What does retirement look like? Because you've spent your whole life working and planning and preparing to work, so then all of a sudden retirement comes along and we're not really sure what that looks like or how to have enough money, right? How do you know how much is enough? So let's get into that a little bit as we break down where I think you should consider retiring. What does that look like? What does the place look like? And it could be here, of course, in Santa Clarita or California. It could be any place. Because each of us might have different needs. Some say, I hate the hot weather. Some, I love the hot weather. I want 4 seasons. I only want, 1 season. So each of us have a different need in retirement. So, Jeff, one of the things that we look at when folks are considering retiring, when clients come to us and say, it's about that time and over the next 3, 4, 5 years, what is it that you think of as a guideline for retirement? What does that look like?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is really, and you've talked about this for some time, is really go scout out where it is you think you're going to live. The idea that you're just going to pick a place that looks beautiful in a brochure or online and then just go park there and buy a house or whatever it is that you're going to do, that's not realistic. And I can tell you from my experience, living in California, Southern California especially, highly populous, lots of people. If you don't like something, you can go across town and get something completely opposite. You have lots of diversity, many, many choices. I moved to the Midwest for a change of pace. This was well over a decade ago. Let's see, we're going back some years. I don't want to date myself, but many, many years ago. And I'll tell you, it was great because it was so drastically different. But then you start to realize, now I know where people got the term, they're going to town. Because we lived out in the country, and we had to go to town to go to the store. If you wanted to go to a big box store, we had to consider, okay, do we have an ice chest to take back some of the things that might perish along the way? So I think amenities are a big part, and maybe, it wasn't something that was on everyone's radar 40, 50 years ago, but we live in the world of now, and we need choices, and we need amenities. So when you're looking at a prospective place to live, I think it's always prudent to live there in a rent scenario, whether it's 6 months, 12 months, because you don't know if you're going to like it. You don't know if you like the way the sun hits the house that you live in for a certain part of the day or the year, and then you have that freedom to pick up and go somewhere else if you don't like it.
And a lot of it that we take for granted, Jeff, I'll give you a good example. My daughter's in school in the Midwest.
Sure.
We went to visit, and we said, okay, let's have Chinese food tonight.
Sure.
So far, there's yet to be a decent Chinese food restaurant.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Now, it doesn't mean it's always the case, but in this particular town, Chinese food and even Italian food is not really available of any significance. Steakhouses are there, of course, and there's really good ones. But when you are growing up in Southern California and you want, let's have Persian food, let's have Chinese food, you can do that within minutes. Difficult. So when you are retiring, where you are retiring, consider the cosmopolitan aspect, meaning I think you should be close enough to a larger city because there's going to be entertainment issues like theater, movie theaters or live theater, concerts. It's rare to find, whatever your music taste is, an entity who's going to want to go to a town of 1,200 people. There just isn't any money in it for them.
Sure.
So they're going to go to the larger city where they can draw in people. That's why Las Vegas is such a magnet for conferences and expos and concerts, simply because you're going to be there anyway. And everybody's used to it. We're already in habit of flying to Las Vegas for 3 or 4 days and flying home. That's the normal time of stay.
Mm-hmm.
So consider being in a big town if you're interested in hospital or medical needs. Now, you might say, we're 58, 63, we're good. No. You have to think much larger than that. If you are considering being in a place and you have a tendency for heart issues in your family or kidney, you might need dialysis. Maybe there's other issues with certain obscure medical conditions that just aren't prevalent in other parts of the country, then consider for a minute that you might want to be next to a teaching hospital where they bring in state-of-the-art equipment, where they're always cutting edge. Sometimes people will say, I don't want to go to a teaching hospital. And I say, well, wait a second. Are you kidding me? You absolutely should, because that's where the best go. Other hospitals are nice, but if you want it done by somebody who is teaching, who's held accountable, who has 3 or 4 sets of eyes watching him or her perform whatever procedure, that's a very big deal in how you need to be relating to whatever medical condition you need to be treated. So outdoor activity, Jeff, talk about that, because whether it is one type or another, there's always something that people are looking for.
That's true, and a big part of some of the coastal regions is the ability to go out to the beach or see the ocean or go to a wharf. But if you move inland, you might want to find some water. Fortunately, we lived in a place where there was water basically on our property, and it was amazing. But here's the other thing that I should caution you. If you think you're going to go out on the boat on the lake every single day, you better be a diehard, because I know I thought that too until I got there. It's kind of like the amusement parks that are nearby here.
Yes.
Somebody just recently came into town. We were at a friend's house, and they said, I said, what are you guys going to do this weekend? Because there's a gentleman coming from Pensacola, Florida, and he says, I've always wanted to see the Hollywood sign. Because he'd only been to California twice. He'd never seen it. I thought, wow, I ought to go too, because I've only seen it once myself. So the things that are right in our backyard, we tend to kind of ignore in some cases. But I'll tell you, whether it's the mountains, if you live in a foothill type of terrain, those are beautiful. But remember, and Arif, you told a beautiful story about this in the last couple weeks, about living on certain sides of a hill or a mountain. You never know where the sun is going to be until you're actually there.
And I think with that move, the renting part of the scenario is very important. But consider this. Whatever your outdoor activity is, we're retiring healthier and younger than ever before. If not younger by age, certainly by activity. And if you say, listen, I don't mind staying in California and working another 10 years or 5 years or fighting the traffic, whatever, then that's fine. That's a choice. But if you say, listen, I want to take the next 5 or 10 years and the rest of my life, I want to retire younger, maybe start that flower shop or that art studio, whatever it is that might not necessarily pay the bills, but your retirement income and your assets are the tools that are designed to pay the bills, then when you retire, you need to have those sources of income, but you also need to have bills and expenses as low as they can possibly be. That will help you be able to live the life that you dream from a retirement standpoint. The second half of the hour here on the bottom of the hour, we're going to get into some ways for you to turn your assets, your home, your retirement accounts into a guaranteed stream of income so you never outlive it. So you can live the life that you want to live, and every 4th of the month or the 10th of the month, whatever it is, the paycheck hits the bank account and we continue for the next 30 days or the next period of time. So that's important. But Jeff, one of the things we talk about is family.
That's right.
You have a large family.
I do, and the chances of my 5 kids living all in the same place when they grow up and find their way in life and have careers and spouses and their own lives, it's pretty slim. You know, we have a pretty large country and we have a lot of opportunity abound, and the chances of them spreading out is pretty good. So what I would say is, you know, in addition to all the amenities and being near emergency services, hospitals, you want to be close to an airport in some form or fashion. You know, where I lived, there was an airport, and at one point it was so small, it used to be a regional airport, you could get a decent-sized commercial airliner in there. But then that kind of went away. They didn't have enough traffic. Then it turned into something much smaller, so you didn't have those same connections. So we would literally have to drive about 2 hours, not accounting for traffic, which, you know, that in Indiana, that's 4 people at the same stop sign at the same time. But in all seriousness, you know, going far away to a major airport so that you can get to some of these destinations to visit your family, that's a big deal. And if you don't mind the drive, hey, not a big deal. But I'd be cautious of that.
And consider this, the airport, I like you to be 30 minutes within an airport that will get you to any place in the United States with no more than one stop. Because realistically, you generally are going to have to fly to a hub. So if you live in the outskirts of Texas or in Lake Tahoe or wherever it might be, you know, Boise, Idaho. Now, you may not be able to get from Boise, Idaho to your vacation in Cabo or Boise, Idaho to Hawaii. But you can go Boise, Idaho to San Francisco to Cabo, or Boise, Idaho to, you know, L.A. to Chicago, or to Hawaii. You know, that kind of hop skip, I'm okay with that. So in retirement, I don't think any more than one stop away from a regional airport that'll get you where you need to go. International. Great. Well, what does that mean? So that means you get to find the place you want to live, find the location, and then just draw a radius. You can actually go online and hit radius map in your search engine. Radius, what's a 30-mile radius of Boise, Idaho? And it will show you. And you can get there in 20, 30 minutes. And that now means that that's where you can live. Now, inside of that same radius, is there a hospital that's reasonable? Not a small hospital. You need a fairly significant one. Is that a region that gives me the type of weather that I want? Is that a region that has the shopping that I need to do and the tax brackets and right? Now you start drawing those radius maps, and you might have 3 or 4 locations across the country. I want to live in this state, but not this one, close to this part, but not that part. And then when you do that, that's where you spend the next few years traveling. You go there, you hit the circuit, you take a look at 2 or 3 or 4 different housing communities, stay a week at least in each place, talk to folks, go to the local places, not the fast food chains. You know, the chain restaurants are nice, but I would prefer that you go to the local mom and pops and talk to the guys that are there every day or every week.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. I noticed, it's funny you say that, there was where I lived in a town of 6,000 people, there was a little place, a restaurant, family restaurant, that's where all the locals went. But if you went just down the road, there was a big chain restaurant there, really big in the Midwest, but it was close to a freeway, and that's what they prided themselves on, to be near the interstate, as they call it out there. But that's a totally different type of people because they're coming from different parts. So if you want the real local opinion, go to some of the smaller family restaurants.
And that will give you an idea of what matters to those folks. It'll give you an idea of where the problems are. What are they complaining about? Because so many times you're going to sit there and say, oh my gosh, this is the worst, taxes. And this little community is going to complain about not homelessness, because that doesn't exist, not graffiti, because there aren't gangs. They're going to complain about potholes or the stop sign. There's just too much traffic on Main Street and they need to put in another stop sign.
Yes.
You need to see what their problems are. And if their problems are so much less than your problems, then I think you can say, just maybe, this is the place to live. Because you're going to ratchet down your blood pressure quite a bit when the biggest issue is, should they take the town square and paint it blue or green? You'll realize that you're going to step into a community where you're not that important. Here in Santa Clarita or the Antelope Valley, you have a social place, whatever it is, friends, family, church, political, whatever. And when you leave and you step into a new community, you're starting over. Now, for some of you, that might be great because it gets to wipe away the whatever reputation or whatever what we call jacket you're wearing. And you can start over. And that gives you a great opportunity to see, does this make sense? Am I somebody that, that wants to fit in? Or even maybe you fell into the political world accidentally in Santa Clarita, or you fell into the issues or problems of the day. And when you move, you're just, I'm done with that. I want to retire. I want to be somebody that just goes to work, plays golf, visits my friends, complain about the same things they complain about. Because you wouldn't be old if you didn't complain. You wouldn't be young if you didn't complain. Right? You have to have something to matter. All right, we're going to take a break and come back. You've got my tips and tricks. Close to a hospital, like a university or some sort of education center, because I want you to continue to grow. If it's pottery classes, my favorite, believe it or not, is a community college. If you're close to a community college and you can take classes, Spanish 301, pottery, I don't care. The value is learn how to be a car mechanic if you never had a chance to do that before. Learn how to repair things, weld. It doesn't matter. That's really an important part of your growth as a retiree. Then I think living close to a university or a community college of some sort is better. And then the last thing is find that recreation. I think that's important. And then, of course, the airport. All right, we're going to continue when we come back. How are you going to fund this? Right? It's nice that you have a life, you have a place. How are you going to spend this money? How are you going to turn what you have accumulated into an income stream? Believe it or not, that's a very common question. And we have the answer for you when we come back. I'm Arif Halaby. That's Jeff Gerard on your place for News Talk Information. This is your hometown station, AM 1220, FM 98.1. Your hometown station, KHTS. I'm Arif Halaby on your Total Financial Hour. We'll be right back.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo. And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills. Hey, don't get too close.
And the hits keep on coming.
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard.
Ibex is back.
Harder, better, Fossa stronger.
And a new track from Kendrick Lamar.
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa.
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
Comfort Keepers provides your loved one with loving in-home care.
Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in-home care.
Our caregivers can help you in your own home, enhancing independence, creating safety and comfort. Our Comfort Keepers provide companionship, meal preparation, medication reminders, assistance with personal care, and even transportation to doctor's appointments. If someone you love can use a helping hand at home, visit comfortkeepers.com.
or call 287-4200.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
Financial security will help you live the life you dream. Learn about financial power, the total financial hour. Now higher income strategy. Learn from Arif Halaby.
Hey, we're back. Total Financial Hour. I'm Arif Halaby. That's Jeff Gerard, and your place for news, talk, and information. Your hometown station, KHTS. Okay, how are you going to take your assets, which is the chunks of dollars that you have in some form or fashion, and turn that into an income stream so you never have to work again? So remember, in your working years, your job was to build up wealth. It was to have your income stay steady and go up every year if you could, or every couple of years, while your assets went up and down. Right? Oh, it's a bad time. Buy more. Oh, it's a good time. Sell. You were constantly putting money into retirement accounts, buying your home, hopefully not refinancing it every 15 minutes, taking cash out, letting it grow. The day comes when you retire and you say, and now I'm ready to pull money out and live forever with those dollars. All right. So what do you do? For a lot of you, we're going to take the $500,000 number. We're going to call that normal. Okay, now that's not for everybody, but I'm guessing by the time you're 55, 60, 65, $500,000 in equity in your real estate is not an uncommon thing. So what do? Well, you're going to find a place, and if you have $500,000 in equity here, you probably can get a pretty darn nice home in most parts of the country for $250,000, maybe $300,000. Let's just say $300,000. Now, if you're going to have a house for $300,000, let's finance $100,000. That means you're going to make a payment on $100,000. All in, taxes, insurance, and everything, it's about $1,000 a month. It's probably high, but let's just call it $1,000 a month. That other $200,000, now that's going to be put into an income stream. You can put money aside and create a guaranteed stream of income off of those dollars, whatever it turns out to be, whatever your numbers are. So when you contact your financial professional, you need to say, listen, here's my numbers. How much can you get me out of $200,000? Now, it depends. Are you going to work part-time? Are you going to turn on Social Security? Do you have a pension? All of those things matter. And when the time comes for you to retire and you start turning these things on for income, of course, the longer you wait, the more the account has the potential to grow and become an income stream for you. But let's just say you're 60 years old. You're going to work a little bit. Your house payment is more than enough being met by your Social Security, his and hers. If you turn it on, maybe you have enough to live between now and Social Security. Maybe you start your Social Security at 62 years old. Now, Jeff, we hear a lot of time from people that the best bet for them is to turn on one of the Social Securities, the lower of the two. And the reason is to keep the other one to grow for as long as possible, 65, 66, past the full retirement age, even till age 70. Now, why would I want one Social Security being much higher than the other?
Well, then that gives you some flexibility in when you defer one of those payments and you say, don't turn on my Social Security, that's going to go up each and every year. And that basically caps out at age 70. So at age 70, you don't have to take it, but there's no benefit to not taking it. But what it does is it allows one of the spouses to work and not give up some of that benefit. So you have kind of a two-part benefit in there when you just turn on the lower of the two.
And when you die, when one of you passes away, because chances are one of you are going to die before the other, the Social Security reverts to the higher of the two. So if you preserve one of those, you're going to lose the smaller one. It's what happens. But you're allowed to keep the higher of the two. And that becomes the new income for you. So that gives you a little bit of protection when somebody passes away, a little bit of a guarantee. But in addition to all of those things, and Jeff, you made a great point, it gives you one of you a chance to continue to work and earn income without a restriction, because Social Security has restrictions. But what about if you ladder your income? That means you take some of your 401k and you start turning it on in income between now and, let's say, 5 years. So maybe you needed an additional $1,000 or $1,500 a month. You just do the math. $1,000 a month times 60 months is $60,000. Simple, right? Add some interest in there so you get a little bit more. So you set that aside until today, age 60, and 5 years from now, age 65. And at that point, some of the other accounts that we have start to turn on for income as well. So now you have multiple streams of income that from age 65 till age 70, you're pulling out another, let's say $1,500 a month. And then at age 70, we turn on the big account, and that's another $2,000 or $3,000 a month. You see, the point is, for most people, they forget that you can ladder income without risk and fees. There are accounts, but you have to give up a couple of things. There's a couple of trade-offs.
That's right, and one of those is a time commitment. And if you're okay with a horizon of 5 to 7, maybe even 10 years, I think that's about the sweet spot, maybe 6 to 10 years, before you touch one of these particular accounts, then what it does is it gives it a chance, untouched, to grow, and then it becomes a much greater benefit when you do decide to turn it on. And look, if the idea is to not touch this for 10 years anyway, then why would you not put it in a place where it would have the most benefit at the 10-year mark?
That's right. That's right. And a lot of people forget that you can transfer the risk of the income going away, or what if and how about, you can transfer that risk to somebody else, meaning insurance companies. You see, 100 years ago or so, when the economy collapsed, we had a big shift. Right? It was the second time the Bank of the United States collapsed. And when that occurred, we had to make a decision as a country, and that was to change the way we handled money. So the Federal Reserve was created, and they put banks and insurance companies, and that's what they put in. That's what they allow to put money into the U.S. economy and take money out of the U.S. economy. It's this ebb and flow. So insurance companies are masters of risk. That means they don't take great risk. Banks, they do take great risk, right? They give you based on a signature and your word and some credit scores, they'll give you $1 million to buy something. And they're crossing their finger and they're hoping and they're working with you to make sure you pay it back. But if you don't, that's what a bank was built for, was to take those risks. The insurance company on the other side was designed to be safe and secure and not run out of money and not be somebody that says, oh, well, I guess we can't pay. That's not an insurance company. They'll pay you less interest so that they can survive, and that's one of the other trade-offs. There's a time commitment where you can't pull all of your money out without paying a fee, but you can take out 10% a year, no problem. Try to take out more, you'll pay a fee. It's not a problem, you just pay a fee like you do now with your brokerage accounts, right? People pay brokerage account fees whether they take money out or not. We had somebody in earlier today. She said, Arif, what kind of interest did I earn? Well, she earned in the last 12 months, so June to June, she earned 5.7%. I said, look, our commitment to you is we think over time there's going to be an average, we're estimating between 3 and 6%. We got exactly that. She said, well, I think I made more than that in my other account. Yeah, you did. Let's take a look. Yeah, she made 7.5%. I said, well, what are the fees there? She goes, well, I'm not really sure. You ready for this? Her fees were 1.5%. So when you do 5 plus 1.5, you're right at the 7% mark. Now, her 7% that she earned, that's nice. Maybe she earned a little bit more money than us. And you end up with the risk. Who do you want to have the risk? That's up to you. I think a big part of this is for you to decide whether or not you want to take the risk and all the gain, because you could have an amazing, if you pick the right stock, the right company, or you can take and be safe. Now, I don't think you should have all your eggs in one basket. Right? When you're going through retirement and you're 55, 60, 65 years old and you want to retire at that period of time, chances are if both of you, if you're married and you both reach age 65, what is that? It's something like a 60% chance or 80%, some big number, that one of you will reach age 95. That means, and usually, ladies, it's you. I don't know what the number is, because I think I'm gonna try and be that guy who lasts. Ladies, you guys outlive us all. So who gets the last laugh? I don't know. And so, because mathematically speaking, the numbers are built for you to have somebody alive. That means the income has to not end, right? It's not as if, oh, well, I'm 90, I don't pay taxes anymore. Not true, folks. You still end up paying taxes. It doesn't change.
Still got to eat dinner, property taxes, car registration, insurance. All those things don't go away.
You know, when we see this consistently, I love the way they create this formula of, you know, how is inflation determined, right? How is inflation decided? Well, they used to just have a really basic formula. Now they do this real intricate basket of goods, and they take gasoline and food, and they add stuff together, and then they say, what is 1 gallon of gas? What is 1 bushel of potatoes? What is 1 gallon of milk? And they have these measures of the economy, and they take a price snapshot today. And then a year from today, they buy each one of those basket of goods, knowing some might be a little higher, some might be a little lower. And over time, they say, oh, well, here you go. Looks like prices have gone up. Now, if you only measured inflation by big screen TVs, prices have gone down.
Right.
You can actually get a pretty darn nice TV for the same price today, twice probably the size.
Sure.
That you use, but a man does not live on TV alone, especially flat screen TVs. How many can you have and still survive? But if you had somebody or something in life that said, I'm going to be able to pay my bills each and every month, you better figure out a way to get a certain amount of increase. I think 4 or 5% increase every year, or really every other year, that's probably a way to live in retirement, because you're going to have health insurance go up. You've heard me talk about my lovely health insurance story. I always get angry when I do. 3 years ago, my health insurance was $872 a month. Today, it's $3,200 a month. Same wife and 3 children. It didn't change. Oh, wait. Instead of a $4,000 deductible, today it's $12,000. So do the math. $3,000 a year plus $12,000. That means before the insurance company kicks in anything after a year, before it really becomes it makes sense, I don't know, after-tax money of $50,000, $55,000?
Sheesh.
Oh, wait, if you want to get in line with the rest of the cattle and get an HMO, good luck. Well, I'm not interested in that, right? I was told that I could keep my doctor. I was told I could keep my insurance. They didn't say it would cost me one of my kids. And some, depending on the week, I can pick one. It's like a friend of mine. He said, hey, listen, guys, I have 2 great kids and another one. And he's like, I won't tell you which one, depending on the day.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because we're talking about insurance, and if you think about what you have to come out of pocket before the company actually kicks in, I mean, do you really even have insurance? I'm not saying don't have insurance, because there are catastrophic things that happen, whether you need a surgery or a big procedure, but going year to year without any major medical problems, you're still going to be forking out those dollars. And they say that's one of the most expensive expenses or costs in retirement is your health care. And so part of this income that we're designing in our strategy has to be, you have to factor some of that in. So, for instance, if you have a fixed income, right, and we're looking at all of these things, everybody talks about a fixed income. Let's say it's a pension or Social Security. If you needed a little bit extra money from that pension, could you go to your employer and ask for a little bit more money?
Right.
No, you can't. Social Security, hey, I'm short $200 this month. Can I bump that up a little bit? Sorry. That's the number you're stuck with.
And a lot of, Jeff, when people go to make that decision, should I take a lump sum out, or should I have a monthly check come from my employer? I'm going to give you 3 questions to ask yourself, 3 check marks, if you will, to decide. It'll help you decide. Number 1 is, do you have other sources of lump sum money, other sources of big chunks of money in case you need it for medical treatment or travel, or you want to do something just spectacularly different, right? So do you have other sources of lump sum money? Number 2 is, do you trust your employer or whoever holds the pension? So the union, the employer, the city, county, state, whatever it is. Do you trust them to stay true to their word and their commitment? Now, how you will measure that is something simple. Not just, my HR director's a great guy, love him. Not just that. You're going to have to do a little bit of homework. You're going to have to dig a little deep. And you're going to go in and take a look at the organization of the pension. In other words, what is it funded? How much is it funded? Now, when a pension is funded, here's what that means. they expect to have an obligation which is 100%. That means they have to meet 100% of the obligation. Now, do they have 100% or do they have 105? Do they have 92, 85? How much is funded? Because the difference between what the fund currently has and the need, which is always 100%, the difference is paid for by the employer. So the city, county, state, General Electric, the union, the employer, whoever it is. Okay? That means the difference between what's needed, right, that 100%, and what they have, you better count on that person or company or individual or organization paying it. And if they can't, then you might say, well, maybe it's not a good deal. Now you might say, oh, well, my employer can tax people. Well, that's great until people say don't tax me anymore. Now, how do people say don't tax me anymore? Well, one, they vote, and two, they leave.
That's right.
So when you have fewer people that are making money in the city, county, state of California, and they still need to collect a greater amount of dollars, what do? They raise taxes. So that chases even more people out. And more people. That's why when John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan and now Donald Trump lowered taxes, that's why we have an economic boom. Why do you think we have such an enormous growth rate? Why do you think the job rates are through the floor? You just can't find an employee, right? Companies are telling me, we're trying. We have more work than we have people to work. Simply because companies have a trust and a respect for the economy, and they believe it's going to continue to grow. So they're willing to take on the risk. Because you know this, when you hire an employee, they don't even know where the stapler is or the bathroom, right?
Sure.
In the first hour or two or year. I don't know, 6 months. It takes a while to figure out the system, the rhythm. So an employer is spending a lot of money to hopefully make it back in the later terms of their job, right? All right. That matters. That's the second part. And when we come back, I'll get to the third part. What I think the third part to decide whether or not you should, ready? Whether you should leave that lump sum there. I think for a lot of you, leaving a lump sum behind is a comforting place, almost like being told what to do. So we're going to encounter that in just a second when we come back on Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. I'm Arif Halaby. That's Jeff Gerard. This is your hometown station, KHTS, FM 98.1 and AM 1220. We'll be right back.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank, and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
Why do people from all over Santa Clarita come to our spa in Canyon Country? Simple. They want the highest quality services at prices that everyone can afford. This is Rosemary from Beyond Harmony Med Spa. Read our reviews and know why we won the Ultimate Beauty Awards 2 years in a row by the readers of Elite Magazine. Come and see how close we really are and experience the level of excellence that our clients have loved for the past 13 years. Go to beyondharmony.com or call 298-8008 today for a free consultation.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
Financial security will help you live the life you dream. Learn about financial power, the Total Financial Hour.
Hey, welcome back. A little bit of a short break, but we're back talking about your family's finances. Okay, listen, if you are somebody who is planning on taking a lump sum, or at least have the option, the gas company, the electric company, insurance companies, right? We've had folks from Allstate Insurance. We've had folks from Northrop and Lockheed. Some of those companies will give you the option, depending on where you came from, what pension plan you're a part of. Well, they'll give you the option to take out lump sums, meaning you can say, give me my $785,000 and never pay me again. Bye-bye. Right? So there's a trade-off. If that's the case for you, if you're somebody who says, I am able or want to do that, here's a recap. Number one, how do you know whether or not it's the right thing to do? Do you have other places for lump sum options? So in other words, do you have a 401k or an old IRA, or retirement account where you have other big chunks of money you can access.
Or even a savings account. Doesn't have to be qualified retirement dollars. And the reason being, was, as we talked about, once you select that payment option, that's irrevocable in most cases.
Yeah, it doesn't come back. And your spouse has to be able to survive on that money as well. And that leads us to the second. Do you expect this money to last? And do you trust the entity that's paying into it? I'll give you a good example. If you were a retiree and you retired maybe 3, 4, 5 years before TWA, if you remember Trans World Airlines, well, the pension, it was taken over by Carl Icahn. He took the money because the pension belongs to the company. Now, maybe there are different rules in place today to not be as bad, but what took place under the TWA's pension is you had flight attendants and pilots that lost everything. That's a big deal. We have a client who's a flight attendant, and she said she lost all of her pension. They gave her, I think, $45,000 and said goodbye, and she was supposed to be receiving $2,500 a month for the rest of her life.
Oh, my gosh.
And they said, nope, we're dividing it all up. Everybody gets a piece. Here's yours. We're done with our responsibility. And then the company went under.
Well, and the company doesn't necessarily even have to go under. United Airlines didn't go under. They're still
That's
around.
right.
But we've seen pension reform while a company is still solvent, but they have to refinance, restructure, whatever big word they're using. But it's in the end, it's going to mean that you make less money each month.
I think they're going to do the same thing with the cities and the counties. I think you have to count on 75% of that pension. If you count on 75%, you build a budget around it. And if and when there are any changes, you're going to be, at least you got a better shot at being fine, right? It's difficult to predict. But I don't want you to spend 101% of your money counting on next year's pay raise to pay off tomorrow's credit cards. I want you to be able to live within your means. Now, if you can't, then you might want to consider taking a lump sum. Here's the third one. The payments that they are offering, is it enough for you to live on? Or are you going to have to go into debt and or get a second job? In other words, you can't retire and stay retired unless you have another job. If you don't have a source of revenue, a source of income, where you can come in and say, I'm going to get a predictable stream of income, then I would say, the pension, you might want to say, give me the lump sum because I'm going to need more than $3,200 a month. I need $3,800 a month. Well, you can control that if you are the one. Now, maybe it will die a little earlier, right? You're going to be 95 when it ends. Well, we better make plans for that. You better make sure you pay off your bills. You better make sure your home is paid off. There's another source of lump sum money that we spoke about. So when you're retired, those three things you want to consider, because it isn't just enough for you to live on. But Jeff, a lot of these accounts, a lot of the pensions have options. They say, we'll give you, I'll give you an example, $4,000 a month. And if you pass away, your spouse receives $1,500. Oh, you don't, that's not enough for her to live on? Okay, so we'll give you $3,500 a month. And if you pass away, your spouse receives $2,000. Oh, that's not enough for her to live on? We'll give you $3,000 a month, and when you pass away, your spouse receives $3,000 a month.
Sure.
So you've got to do the math and say, does it make sense? And can I financially afford to live? Now, here's what we would say as financial guys, Jeff.
Sure. Yeah, in those options, one of the things that they don't tell you is that you could take the higher amount, which means if you die, that payment goes away. But I would say take that higher payment and buy life insurance. So if you were to say, look, I can live off of that 75% mark, but if I pass, my wife only gets 25%, that's not enough. Take the 100% in some cases, and the difference that you were going to live on, the difference between what you took out and what you were going to live on, buy life insurance with that. Now, what does that do? That goes from money that you're receiving to a tax-free benefit for your spouse. Let me say that again. You die, that payment goes away, but what have you backfilled that with? You've protected your spouse with tax-free insurance, and you've leveraged that money. Because what happens is when you buy a dollar worth of insurance, or you spend $1 on insurance, maybe you get $10, $15, or $20 worth of protection. That means whatever you've put in premium-wise from day one, mind you, that protection is in place. I'll give you an example of why that matters. If you take the 100% option of your pension, and let's say you get that $4,000 a month in Arif's example, and you die next month, The company doesn't say, oh, well, we really counted on you living 10 years. Here's 10 years worth of payments to your spouse. No, it goes away. But if you had that money in a life insurance policy and you died the next month, they would pay out the full benefit with that first premium. So it's an important strategy to remember. You can do this with pensions. You can do this with Social Security. Look, Arif talked about it earlier, if you have Social Security and let's say a spouse is earning $2,500 per month, let's say they were the bigger wage earner throughout their life together as spouses, and the other one has $1,000 a month. One of you passes away, it doesn't matter. The $1,000 goes away and they get the higher of the two. But that's still a $1,000 pay cut in retirement. And who wants to take a pay cut in retirement? So I always say, if you're going to look at a pension option, maybe the lump sum isn't for you. Maybe you want to take that guaranteed stream of income from them, but always have a backup plan. Always have a little bit of protection if you can build it in.
And one of the things when you mention tax-free, people just hear that and they say, No. That just means there's less pressure on the money to live the same way. You don't have to take out as much because you don't have to take out as much to give some to taxes and some to your own pocket. Right. So you're actually coming out in the story a little bit nicer, and you're able to pass those funds on to your spouse and then your spouse to your kids. So if you were to take out, in that example, $4,000 a month, and you said, I'm going to buy $500 a month worth of life insurance, you still come out and live pretty darn comfortably.
Nice.
At $3,500 a month, because even when you pass away, your spouse receives something. Maybe it's $1,500, maybe it's $2,000. That's taxable. But the purchase of the life insurance makes all the difference in the world. If this strategy or something like this, or if you need help through these questions, if that appeals to you or you want to talk about it, we do not charge for a second opinion. We don't charge if you come in and talk to us. If we can help you, great. If we can't, that's okay too. At least you'll know. Usually it takes us about 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll be able to have an answer for you. 888-99-RETIRE. That's how you get a hold of us. 888-99-RETIRE. That's 888-997-3847. 888-99-RETIRE. I like that because you can never forget 99-RETIRE. 888-99-RETIRE. Okay, Jeff, go ahead because I know you got something else.
Oh, I just wanted to just kind of throw something out there. A lot of people think that, oh, well, gosh, I'm already retired. I'm old, right? I can't buy life insurance. It's not affordable. It's too expensive. I won't qualify medically. You would not believe how many people have said that to us, and they still got an offer from an insurance company. It's pretty incredible. So don't discount yourself. Let the company disqualify you if that's the case, if there's merit for doing so. A lot of us think, oh, it's too expensive, it's too this, it's too that, and you fill in the blank, and then you never have an opportunity to see if this type of benefit could actually, be applied to your financial life.
Yeah, and your family's financial life can be built on many forms: tax-free money, tax-friendly money, money that's built, where you get it in pieces and pays. All of those things can help build a financial plan. Meaning, some of the money from the life insurance that could be used to pay for some of your living expenses. Retirement accounts that can be used. Working part-time that can be used. Social Security, let's delay it a little bit, because it goes up every single year that you don't need to turn it on. But I don't want you to wait with both of them. You need to think about this. Check with your financial planner or your CPA and ask them, say, hey, here's my options. Both of us, we could receive $2,000 a month at age 62 for him and $1,000 a month for me. Or nothing for him. We just let that grow a little bit each and every year, and we turn on my $1,000 per month. Well, if you're working part-time, or he or she's consider that. Look at the numbers and see if it works. I like the idea that you can build a plan where you have many other pieces. And remember, we can turn on and off that income all day long. So you don't have to always take it, oh, I found a great job, I'm going to work for this year because I'm bored. All right, shut down some of your retirement income. You can't do that with the pension. With the pension, it's coming. It pushes you into the next tax bracket. Tough luck if that's the way it goes. With us, if it's in a retirement account, or anybody if it's in a retirement account, you can put those dollars in the retirement account, take it out to live on. Oh, I don't need it this year. Let's slow down. Let's take out more. So sometimes that option helps people make a decision to leave the pension plan and take the lump sum with them.
And the nice part is we can use some deferred annuity vehicles. And some people think, oh, annuity, that means I have to take payments, a stream of income. I can't control that or turn that off. No. You use a deferred annuity. Now what you have is a place where you can take some of those pension dollars that were never taxed. 401k dollars that were never taxed. You can bring it over into an individual retirement plan. You can conserve or preserve the tax status, not have to pay the taxes on it. So I think we need to make that point is when you cash out that lump sum, you're not cashing it out into your bank account. It's going into another,
yes, that's right,
another similar qualified plan, but it's an individual plan, so you don't pay the tax on it, and you control when to turn that income on, how much. And if you say, look, I don't want to think about this, just company, tell me how much I can take out to where I'll never run out of money, and I don't have to do the guesswork. And they'll figure that out for you.
Yeah, they actually have a formula that says if you want us to be responsible to never run out, for you to never run out of money, here's the number that we say. And if it's enough for you, great. But just because you take that out, it doesn't mean you give up your lump sum.
Right.
I think today more and more with these technology devices called magic Google devices, you can find out about anything. You can check your accounts. People do it. Sometimes at the stoplight, right? What is my stock account doing today? What is my retirement account doing today? You can find that information out. So be very careful when you're trying to plan this stuff and think that, oh, I'm just not that smart. Well, maybe you can learn, because not everybody is born understanding every single financial product in the world, but you can get pretty darn close to understanding these things.
Or hire a professional. Work with somebody that's an expert in that field. You don't have to be the expert. Go surround yourself with some.
Yeah, and there's enough people in life, if you will, that are willing to help. And some charge substantial fees, and some do it for free. And listen, we get paid a commission. We get paid a fee, if you will, from the insurance company's profits, not from yours. So you might say, well, then you're inclined to recommend certain products. Well, listen, they all pay us about the same nowadays. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be that some paid a lot more, so a person might skew the decision down that direction. Today, they all pay us about the same. So that's kind of a dead argument. The other part of it is, even somebody that is your fancy financial fee-only person, they still have a list of 6 or 10 or 20 companies that they work with. That's it. Because there's no way in the world they can be an expert in every single thing. They just can't. Nobody is that smart. So they do the same thing we do, which is recommend, or at least I would, recommend you see your CPA for tax advice. Recommend you see your attorney for trust or will advice. And you have each financial professional handle what they're good at. You never want to work with somebody who is just good in everything. You want them to be great at something. The hardest part in life is to ultimately get to the age, it used to be 25 or 30, 35, I don't know when it happens, if it ever does these days, where you are going to be great at something, right? It used to be, I am a shoemaker, I am a bricklayer. That's what you did. That's why the sentence works that way in the English language, because when I am a, right? No, you're a human being, you're an adult, you're a male, whatever. But we have so morphed the profession into who you are because that's the way it was for centuries. Your dad was a tailor, you're a tailor. Your mom is a seamstress, fine, that's what they called it, no different. But if you're a chicken farmer and for you to suddenly say, oh, I'm going to start farming cattle, probably not. It's night and day, different animal, different species, right? Different ways to grow things. So today, I don't want you to forget that, because when somebody says, I am an expert in something, then they better just about only do that. Like, don't ask me to fix your car. Certainly I can't change your oil. Now you might say, oh, it's so easy. That's great. Not interested. Why? Because for just a few dollars more than me making mistakes, or maybe even a few dollars less after you fix my mistakes, I can get it done by somebody who does this every single day. You are now taking a journey across the country, and you went to somebody to fix your brakes, to make sure your brakes work no matter what happens, whether you're climbing over the Rockies or you're coming down the other side of the Appalachian Mountains. And you went to that brake man or brake woman and you said, hey, by the way, I also want you to change the oil in my car, fix my transmission. While you're at it, can you, do the brakes on my car? Because my family's taken this journey, life or death. The brakes on my car are trusted to a guy who's pretty darn good at transmissions also. Well, in my opinion, that's foolish. You don't have the same person who does risk with your retirement and do safety. They were good. They were great. When you needed risk, they were there because your food, shelter, clothing came from your job. Today, your food, shelter, clothing, and or in the future is going to come from your retirement accounts. You cannot take a risk. Don't trust somebody with it who also, by the way, I can pick the greatest, latest stock. 888-99-RETIRE. 888-99-RETIRE. That's me, Arif Halaby, and Jeff Gerard. Thanks for being with us on the Total Financial Hour.
KHTS, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 1 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
Trump vindicated, Harley threatened. I'm Mike Moss. Been profoundly vindicated by a Supreme Court decision upholding his travel ban.
Reaction to the Supreme Court ruling for President Trump, relatively subdued.
It's a tremendous victory for the American people and for our Constitution.
The justices upheld his ban on travel into the U.S. by people from Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria, Yemen, as well as North Korea and Venezuela. The court ruled that was